Mike, you used the word legacy before.
Mm-hmm.
I had a very strong suspicion last week when I watched Elway at the Combine talking to the media, and he talked about Peyton's legacy.
Yeah.
I think that was John's way of convincing Peyton to restructure.
Maybe.
In other words, yeah, you can take your $19 million, Peyton, and you could walk away with all the regular season records. But if you really want to cement your legacy as one of the, if not the greatest ever, you need to let us surround you with better players. You need to give me some money back so I can go out and get those guys that can help you get that second Super Bowl and cement that legacy. Then I knew that that's how Elway was making the pitch to Peyton. Give me some money back. Let me surround you with better talent.
Yeah. Peyton needs one more Super Bowl because
Absolutely.
he should be the greatest quarterback in NFL history. I think
I agree.
He's played the position. The way he's played the position, I think, is unprecedented. No one's ever played the position in quite the manner that he has.
Yeah.
But that is a position where Joe Montana is considered number one because he's 4-0 in the Super Bowl.
And now Brady.
Yeah, Brady's right there.
Brady's there now, and they've mentioned Brady. I don't think Brady's. I've always said this, and this was before Peyton Manning became with the Broncos. When Manning was with the Colts, I didn't think Brady was quite Peyton Manning, but the Super Bowls does trump a lot, and he needs one more. He needs one more. Brett Favre is in the discussion. No one's calling him the greatest ever. He won one. You've got to win multiple Super Bowls to be in that.
And it's funny. Once again, we come back to John Elway's career. John Elway was looked upon as not in a class with Dan Marino. And
right.
Marino hadn't won any. John hadn't won any. And I always remember, and I think you've heard the story, in '95 when they opened Coors Field, John Elway and I are sitting in a luxury box. I don't know how we ended up there together. And he comes over to me, he says, "What do I need to do to get in the Hall of Fame?" Because he was thinking about his legacy at that point.
Yeah.
At what point in John's career was this?
'95. So keep in mind, this is right
3 years
as
before
Mike
he won his first Super Bowl.
Mike Shanahan comes in, and I said, "John," because he knew I was on the Pro Football Hall of Fame selection committee, and I'd never heard him discuss his legacy, but he knew he was getting at the end. And I said, "John, I'm going to tell you a couple of things. Don't retire the same year as Marino does. You really don't want to test that in the Hall of Fame. You know, if they have to choose between which quarterback to put in, because Marino had the 50,000 yards, and John didn't have it at that point." And I said, the second thing, the two of you are going to be determined on who wins a Super Bowl. And neither one of you won a Super Bowl. You've been in 3, but people aren't going to really count that. They did count it with Jim Kelly eventually, because he was a coach. And John said, And not that motivated him to win the
95,
Super Bowl.
so that was before Shanahan. So Shanahan had just been hired. He hadn't coached.
Yeah,
95.
it would have been. It was
summer of '95.
I think it was opening day at Coors Field.
Okay.
Remember? Didn't Bichette hit?
Okay.
A home run or
Yeah.
something?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it was that day.
Mike hadn't started yet.
Yeah,
Mike had not started yet.
There, but
right.
I could see him like. It was kind of like looking up, and it was going through his mind that was the first time someone had said to him, "You better win a Super Bowl." Now that didn't motivate him to win a Super Bowl, but what you guys are talking about is that John finished his career with 2 Super Bowls, and he's in the argument. Don't you think he's in the argument? When
he's he's top 5.
He's a top 5 guy.
Yeah, he's unique in the argument because he's more the athlete. You know,
and if
the helicopter, it's not a pass. Yeah. You know, a lot of times quarterbacks they think of passers. Well, Elway was more of a quarterback. He made the play.
Let's go through that though. So he had not won any Super Bowls, and I've talked to Peyton about that. He's at least won 1. John finished strong. He won 2. Could have probably
at 37 and 38.
He could have had a chance at 3 if they hadn't blown it in 1996 because.
Well, you
arguably that was the best. Yeah, I was the reason why. In '96, people still blame me. Yeah. In '96, they could have won the Super Bowl. That may have been the best team they had.
Well, it was the best 3-year run of any team in NFL history.
And if he'd come back, if he'd wanted to rehabilitate, he maybe could have won another one. But that's pushing it to try and win 3 in a row when you're at that age. So he did that. He took less money. He deferred his money. Mike Shanahan
illegally, as it turned out.
Mike Shanahan, yes, right. They got vanquished for that.
Yeah.
John told me when Peyton came here, he said, I want to do the same thing that was done for me. I want to surround him with enough talent. And John's really working at that, whether you question his drafts or some of his free agents. He's really working to put a team around Peyton Manning. So I think that John is going to remind Peyton of all that. Hey, everything that you're going through, I went through, and I finished with 2. You could finish with 2. Don't you think, John? I mean, John's the kind of guy that would say that to Peyton. And he could get away with saying that. You know, you don't have that legacy yet. And he said it publicly. He needs to win another Super Bowl to have that legacy.
That's why I brought that up.
So that's why I don't see any problem with what's going on. I believe, and you're the one who brought it up on the show, and you're absolutely right. You said, I think it's all about restructuring. And I said, no, it's about Saturday Night Live. I told you this on the phone when you were having dinner with your mother. Saturday Night Live, a combine, and a physical. Well, 2 of those are out of the way. The third will be out of the way in the next week or so. And he told all of us at the Super Bowl, the Bart Starr Award, I have no problem. I'm not going to have any problems with the physical. You think he's already taken a physical?
He did take. Elway said that at the combine that he took a physical with his doctor in New Orleans and passed with flying colors.
Sure.
He still has to get through Greek and the guys, but
sure. And so the Broncos would be hard pressed to fail him.
Right.
At this point, he's passed on the physicals. But you were right. You know, this is about restructuring, and I was not told by my sources that restructuring.
It was a guess on my part. I didn't know.
I think you were speculating.
Your sources must have been on the Condon side because they probably were less receptive to the than the Broncos side.
I think my sources were on both sides. That's
okay.
The source I had, but I think that was a late comer after the meeting. Don't you think when they had the meeting that's when it was first brought up?
I am under the impression Manning or Elway brought it up after and I can't believe they did. And this is, you got to question the strategy a little bit. You pick him up in a plane, Pat Bolin's plane, you fly him in, you sit him down on the meeting. How about a pay cut? I mean, I'm not sure that's the ideal way to recruit a guy back to the team.
Well, yeah,
but I think
it's
it was
calculated, Mike. Where's he going to go for his last year? Where's he going to go?
Well, you said Houston.
And it is showing respect.
They had him on the spot.
And as Jason Cole told me, and he's doing the Elway book, autobiography, that they would, no matter what, even if they were going to cut him, they would have picked him up on a plane because of who he is. He's Peyton Manning. You show him that respect, which makes a lot of sense. So,
well, couldn't you have said to him, why don't you fly here and we can save that money and we can give you, we won't cut your pay as much because we'll save $45,000 by not sending an airplane after you.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to do that.
They want him back, and it sounds like they would prefer him back at a certain price.